y'all. This is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Got something that I want to share with you. It's from Fortune and it is about the housing market. It's really important because it's a data point. Again, it's a data point, but it also has some of that NWO sustainability goals language in it towards the end. So I want to share it with you because it's really important that we understand the language that the powers that be use, how they telegraph what is coming, what's happening. And, although we may not see it right now or it may not be happening today, it's coming and things are happening really fast. So I just want you to kind of um, have an idea of what's happening, be able to grasp it, be able to prepare for it. If you're an empty nester, you have children, your children may need to come back home, or you may be considering buying land, and you may be trying to figure out how how you need to do it and what it needs to look like and the rationale behind it. So this is just another one of those little data points. Again, I don't know when the exodus is coming, but it needs to hurry up because uh, I just don't see how we're going to get out of this without help from the Most High. So again, there's no reason that we need to fear, but we do need to keep watch and understand what is happening in real time as we live these end time prophecies out. All right, so this story came out yesterday, June 6th, and it says the housing market is so broken that many 40 and 30 something millennials have no choice but to build homes in their parents' backyard. And I know a lot of people who are doing that, people who their parents had land and, everybody kind of goes off and didn't want to stay at home. Well, now everybody is finding their way back home. The multi-generational family is it's coming together like in other cultures. This broken economic system, Ponzi scheme nation is forcing the hand of many adults who have enjoyed self-sufficiency and independence. They are now having to rely on their parents, for survival. So we're getting ready to get into it. It says, to many people, the image of the nuclear family in a standalone house with a green lawn and white picket fence still represents a fulfillment of the American dream. However, this ideal is relatively new within a broader history of housing and development in the U.S. It's also a goal that has become increasingly unattainable. It's always been unattainable. They just sold off a Ponzi scheme again to keep people enslaved in debt. So as long as you keep thinking you need to have the house on the hill, you need to have the nice fine cars, you need to go into debt and do all these things, you got to work for somebody, or you got to, work for somebody else to have these things unless you are, self-employed. But even then, if you're self-employed, you're having to do something to earn income. And then this country has sold us a lie about we need to have these status symbols in order to prove that we've made it. So what's happening is people are realizing that they were sold a nightmare instead of a dream. And so it's catching up with everybody. And I know a couple of people who work in real estate, and they, lived in big, nice houses and whatever. They're trying to get out of their stuff because they see the tide turning. And, the value of their properties are not the same, not like they were 3, 5 years ago. And they understand, based on the forecast, that it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. So people are really going to be in for a shocker. As professors of architecture, we explore how cities change over time and how certain building trends become commonplace through cultural, political, technological, and economic shifts. Over the past century, the U.S. has lost a rich variety of living options because of the homogenization of zoning policies that prioritize single family housing, as well as developers' desire to have inexpensive and easily replicated building plans. And I totally agree with this one. You look in I was flying back yesterday, and as we got over North Carolina and parts of South Carolina, you could see the new housing developments being built, and the houses, you could look at old housing developments and you could see where people had like an acre, maybe 2 acres, and trees and nice lots. And then you see the new developments, like people live in like houses that look like matchboxes. They all look the same, cookie cutter houses, small lots, small front yards or small backyards, um, just uniformed, uh, typical cookie cutter HOA type of thing. And I was like, wow, who would want to live like that? Just who? The days of the old subdivisions are done. You don't have lots, you don't have nice anything. You just have a nice house. But if you fart, you can hear the person next to, the person next door can hear you. If you argue with your spouse, the person next door can hear you. So people were okay with that, and that has been the zoning plan across the country for a long time. Well, now it's not conducive to the economic climate because you can't put a house in the back of that little small lot, the big old nice house on a very tiny lot. You can't do that. There's no sprawling land. The house goes up, the lot is small. And so people are like stuck with these big, expensive houses, these huge mortgages, and not a whole lot of space. And you know, as your children get older and grow up and try to go off, it's almost impossible for them to afford something without roommates. And the way that the real estate market is now, they don't really want you to have roommates. And if you do, they make it so difficult for people to have uh, um, a place to stay because of the criteria. It's like the better off you become, they keep changing the game. You gotta have good credit. Well, everybody gotta have a place to stay, but you gotta have good credit. Well, what if your credit is messed up because you went through a divorce, or um, uh, you lost your job, or you lost a couple of jobs through no fault of your own, maybe just because your job went away, it went over to Thailand, or it went to a call center in India, or just went to another state and you couldn't leave because you had family ties or whatever. And so your income drastically changed. You went through a period with unemployment, which made you behind on your bills, which made your credit bad. Or maybe you went to school and you couldn't pay your student loan back because you were encouraged to take a career that you were never going to be able to get a job in that would pay you the amount of money to pay it off. Just all sorts of things. You could have IRS debt. You don't pay your taxes. Anything. Just simple things that happen to people. You could have a job and having your tax uh, payments coming out of your bank account, and then you lose your job and you can't do that anymore. That throws your credit off. But then when you need to find a place to stay, you're unable to get that because your credit score is messed up due to no fault of your own. So it's like they have developed this system, this ungodly system. And I'm just going to say that this, ungodly system that uh, causes us to be debt slaves. That's the best way to say it. Um, I can just imagine how difficult it's going to be for a lot of people to find housing in the future because of what is coming. When we have this economic collapse, there are going to be a lot of people who are homeless and they're going to have to take the mark because they're going to need a place to stay. They're going to need food. They have children. They're not going to be able to opt out because they didn't buy a tent. They don't have seeds. They don't have a place they can squat. Maybe they come from a family that's historically poor and they don't have, uh, a place or a plot of land that they can all squat on. I guess that's the best way to say it. Nobody in their family ever paid off a house or land, and so they don't have anything. There, we getting ready to have a whole host of things happen, and it is going to be. Excuse me, I'm close to the street, so people drive up and down the street like they're crazy. But it is getting ready to be really challenging, and so we need to really keep people in our prayers. Um, and how we can't live without housing, we can't live without food, we can't live without water. Those three things are essential. So when I bring you these stories, I'm bringing you the stories from this angle so that you kind of understand. These people are broadcasting what is coming without broadcasting that it's coming. And so I just want you to have it at the forefront of your minds that this is some of the stuff that we're going to have to be dealing with as we go through this period of Jacob's trouble, to say that, until we are delivered. This is what we're going to have to be prepared to deal with, and we're going to have to be prepared to help people out that we don't know. We're going to have to be prepared to feed people, and just so it's really a reflective time. Don't use this time to be critical, and I have to talk to myself too, because I really get frustrated. But you know I also have to remember I'm blessed because I can see things that other people cannot see, and I can hear things that other people cannot hear. And I would like to be used, and I would like to have that documented in my record that I was doing, you know, the work of the Most High, trying to wake people up and help people during these times, uh, because it's just trying to try to get real information. So anyway, let me get on to this, get through this, get off my soapbox. Okay, so over the past century, so I already read that. These developments these development prescriptions are so pervasive that it is now illegal to build anything other than a single family dwelling on 75% of residential land in American cities. Single family zoning restricts the supply of affordable housing, leading to higher cost, displacement, and segregation. Again, um, it's designed that way primarily with us in mind because they don't never want us to have nothing. They always want us to be renting and enslaved and can't afford nothing. So a lot of what was designed has been for us to be debt slaves. Um, Additionally, the residential land is set up in a way that makes it difficult for us to acquire housing. And again, that's what they want. They don't want us to have housing. They want us to rent. They want us to live in public housing. They want us to do anything but own something. So it says, enter the ADU. Diverse patterns of living arrangements across families, communities, and plots of land were far more common in the 19th and 20th centuries. To accommodate these living situations, a range of housing types emerged: multi-family apartment complexes, housing cooperatives, duplexes, and triplexes. There were also accessory dwellings units, or ADUs, which are sometimes called granny flats, backyard homes, in-law suites, and backyard cottages. Most of us don't have those because we just can't afford them. But when I lived in Florida and in Colombia, um, just different part and visited different parts of the country, a lot of upper middle class and wealthy people have these types of houses because they um, are always thinking of how can they include their family. That's unfortunately something that Black people um, don't do anymore. African American Black people, like we are Americanized, or we think that we are supposed to leave our family and be on our own and not look out for each other. And unfortunately, a lot of um, our parents, our generation, and the generation prior to, believed in that. Even their parents, our parents, everybody was trying to get rid of family folk because we're just so tired of living together. Um, and we were taught that it was a bad thing. Well, now we're finding out that other cultures live like that and it's not a bad thing, but we have yet to change our mindset and see the value in it. So, um, let's see, these terms all refer to essentially the same thing: an additional unit of housing on a single lot, typically smaller in square footage than the main residence. They include full amenities, a kitchen, a bathroom, along with a separate entry from the primary dwelling. ADUs can either be attached to or detached from an existing house and can either be built from the ground up or converted from existing spaces like garages, basements, and attics. You may have heard of minimalist living trends such as van life and tiny homes, but the ADU was the original compact housing. While ADUs are not new, many Americans are unfamiliar with them. A recent Freddie Mac consumer survey found that 71% of homeowners were unfamiliar with the concept, though 32% expressed interest in having one on their property once they learned about it. Addressing the missing middle. So it says more diverse living arrangements are both desirable and necessary. Recent trends, working from home and aging in place, along with a home ownership market that's pricing out younger adults, all demand housing types that are not readily available in a market dominated by single family housing. We believe ADUs with social, economic, and environmental benefits should become a more common option. Now, here we go. We're starting to get into the other stuff that I was telling you about. ADUs contribute to sustainability goals, primarily because they encourage density. Rather than clearing another lot in a sprawling suburb for a new single family home, ADUs is stealthily add density to existing neighborhoods, which allows them to tap into existing infrastructure grid. Notice the language. They can also lead to fewer emissions by encouraging shorter commutes. See where we're going here? We're getting ready to go into the UN sustainability goals and the climate agenda. This is what this part is about. Because ADUs are smaller, they also require fewer building materials to construct and less energy to heat. They can be passively cooled and need less electricity. Together, these result in reduced energy costs for the building. Additionally, prefabricated ADUs can be directly purchased, which further reduces construction time and sidestep regulatory burdens such as site inspections and lead to lower cost and waste. ADUs are nimble. 20th century forms of development often took a scorched earth approach to redevelopment by tearing down entire communities, often communities of color, say Black communities, to build entirely new districts through urban renewal projects. They should say suburban renewal projects because when they do renew them, they don't ever renew them for us, they renew them for everybody but us. ADUs do not disrupt local communities because they don't require buying up more land. They help add to the density, introducing new people from different walks of life. As neighborhood populations grow, they become more attractive to small businesses. Coffee shops, restaurants, and grocery stores are more likely to flourish with more residents in a given area. Think of your 15-minute cities. They're telling you what they're doing without broadcasting it. ADUs can also fill the gap of much needed missing middle housing. Many new neighborhood developments are marketed as luxury and try to take advantage of hot markets by maximizing price points. Affordable housing is typically developed by government housing authorities and nonprofit developers who attempt to meet the pressing housing needs at the lower end of the economic spectrum. But we all know nobody wants affordable housing because the people who need affordable housing can't get it because where the best stuff is, the folks who live in those communities fighting tooth and nail to keep those who need affordable housing out of it. Like I have literally sat in meetings of just in different areas and just been floored at the things that they say about people who need affordable housing. If you have not ever witnessed it, you should go and sit in on a affordable housing meeting, a zoning meeting or a planning meeting. It is downright disrespectful. I'm telling you, I just didn't know, and it wasn't our people who was doing the complaining. I'll just say that and leave it at that. Alternatively, housing that caters to middle income people is typically non subsidized through traditional government funding mechanisms, but fills a need that many for profit developers can't meet. These are usually smaller homes that attempt to appeal to a variety of price points and lifestyles. Many ADUs could fall into that category. Finally, at the scale of the household, there are numerous benefits of ADUs. Going back to its moniker as a granny flat, ADUs offer the opportunity for intergenerational living. They are typically a single story, which makes it easier for older family members to age in place, but they also provide space and privacy for younger people who may not be able to afford a larger single family home. Some ADUs serve as rental units or short term rentals. By adding units to the existing rental market, they can staunch soaring rental costs. They can also provide passive income for homeowners who need help paying off their mortgage. And so we talk about California, which is not good. But anyway, this is the part I want to read to you. California's various initiatives have largely been successful. ADU permits increased from 9,000 in 2018 to 12,392 in 2020, according to the UC Berkeley Center for Community Innovation. So, if you've been paying attention to the trends, California has been leading the way on a lot of this new WO stuff. So, um, you got to keep an eye on California. One more thing that I want to show you is, let me see if I can find it. Um, there was a, oh, I don't see it. It was about City Labs. So anyway, we'll have to get into City Labs another time. But it is a program that you really need to understand because it talks about how cities are developed, and it's a wonderful illustration to demonstrate how African American Black people get excluded out of good quality housing, having good communities, having nice quality communities and environments developed because we never have a seat at the table. And two, these people who generate this stuff, the best way I can describe it is all just a Ponzi scheme. Always robbing Peter to pay Paul. Always robbing Peter to pay Paul. Always robbing Peter to pay Paul. So at the end of the day, the gist of this story is you're getting ready to see people throw up those small houses in their backyards for their family members because their loved ones are not going to be able to afford single, family dwellings anymore. And the market is changing as AI takes out jobs, as people are, getting laid off left and right because of the downturn in the economy. You're going to see people start moving back home. You're going to start seeing grandmas be relied upon more. You're just going to start seeing old people having to go back and retake care of their kids again. And to some extent, it's their fault because they chose leader. They fell asleep at the wheel. They didn't watch what was going on, and they didn't look out for the next generation. That's the biggest takeaway. Our family, my previous generation didn't look out for my generation, and therefore they make it almost impossible for me to look out for the generations that are coming behind me, and I have two. So it's just really difficult, and we're all having to change our mindset. Everybody's having to come to the realization that the days of being on your own is pretty much over. Everybody's going to have to rely on other people to survive. And some people, again, are going to have to live multi-generational family households, and it's okay. We just need to come to terms with that, but understand that these people have planned all of what is happening so that we can do this, because this plays into the climate agenda. And so understanding that, and knowing that when you start seeing these signs, people losing their jobs, people having to go home, people losing their houses, people not being able to afford rent, it's intentional. It's not, it is by design. All this stuff is just slow rolling into one huge problem, but it's all by design. So with that said, y'all just keep an eye out for what's going on. This is a data point. No need to be fearful. Understand what's coming down the pipe and just be preparing for it. And you may, be one of the people who need some of these options. We'll be thinking about that, and try to find something that meets your needs, because the day is coming where we're all going to be trying to figure out what we're going to do if we're going to still be here. The exodus don't come quick. I don't know what's going to happen to us, but I do believe we're going to be all right. I got faith, and I'm going to stand by it. Just like Chucky, we're going to be friends. Me and Faith going to be friends to the end. All right, y'all. This is Marley K. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And I will talk